Today we'll be doing an install of the Targe Gard side window protection kit. For demonstration purposes, we'll be using this Tesla Model 3, but it should apply to any vehicle. Here are the install tools we'll be using today. We have a squeegee, a hard card, a white scrub pad. Within the tube of the kit, you'll have your Clearex HD, which is a treatment that we're putting on at the very end. You also need to have some baby shampoo, as well as a spray bottle, either 16 or 32 ounces. Okay, the first step in the process is to thoroughly clean the window. So I'm using my slip solution, which is just a few drops of that baby shampoo into a 32 ounce bottle. I'm taking my white scrub pad and I'm thoroughly scrubbing the area on the window. And then I'm just taking my squeegee and I'm wiping off anything that might have been removed from the scrub pad. On the Tesla Model 3, you need to, the window closes a little bit as you open the door. So you need to press through this latch, and that causes the window to go up so that you can expose the whole window and be able to put the film on the correct spot. Now that the window's all the way up, it's a good idea to put something in the way, so that if you try to close the door, you'll realize not to close the door, because otherwise it could interfere here with the trim and it could break your window. Okay, now that we have the full window exposed again with the door open to where we can install it, we're going to clean this window again. Again, you can never over clean your window. You want to make sure everything is off. Anything left on the glass will ruin the install. And I'm just supporting the glass just because this is a frameless window to make sure that I'm not pressing it too hard. Next step is called the wet check. So I'm going to take my slip solution, apply it to the window, get it thoroughly wet. And then I'm going to take my film, I'm going to place it on. I haven't removed the liner. I'm just checking to make sure that it is the correct window and that it fits correctly. And what you're looking for, you want to make sure that it's lined up correctly along the edge. If it hangs out over the glass at all, then you will have a point where it could catch and it will eventually peel off. So you want to make sure that it fits with just about a 1/16 of an inch gap around all the sides. To get a 1/16 inch gap around the top, you should need to slightly press it down into the window. On this Tesla Model 3, is a really big gap there, so it's really easy to get it to set down. On some other vehicles, it might be a little bit tighter, and so you might need to press it, or you can use your hard card to just kind of work it into that weather stripping. It's very handy to have a peel board when you go to install the window. So I'll be using this front windshield as a peel board. So I have my film laid backwards on my peel board. I'm just using this windshield here. You can see this is the liner side. You know that because there is a label on this side. So this is the side that we're going to want to peel off. And again, I'm just going to spray thoroughly. And you can just take a finger and just rub it on one edge. And that should allow you to start to get the liner to peel up. And as I'm peeling it, I'm just going to keep spraying. Everything that I'm exposing, I'm getting thoroughly sprayed. You don't want to touch it without making sure your hands are wet and that the adhesive is wet. Otherwise, you will end up with fingerprints underneath of your install. So I've just peeled the liner off. I'm going to spray. And I'm going to set my glass carefully in place. You want to avoid getting the film down onto the door. It may not be as clean. You may end up picking up contaminants that way. So I'm just making sure that this edge fits just barely down. If it's sticking up over the top like this at all, then it will be able to pull off. And over time, it'll actually pull your film off as you're running the window up and down. So you want to make sure it's just a tiny gap. They're cut to leave about a 1/16 of an inch. You know, I'll make sure that gap is to where the window begins to round over, where the bevel begins. You want to have a gap down just below that. And just like the wet check step, you're just going to take your hands and just get a couple of those bubbles out, just so that it doesn't move around quite as much. And then you'll take your squeegee, hold it with one hand, and just gently press to lock it into place. And then you'll take your horizontal strokes through the middle, Very gently, with middle overlapping strokes across the film, working all those bubbles out. Once you've done one pass, you'll respray. And a little bit more firmness. Continue to pass over the film, working out all the bubbles from underneath the film. Now that I made 4 or 5 progressively hard horizontal passes, I'm going to respray the window, and I'm going to do what's called sealing the edges, where I take my hard card and I do hard passes just on the very edge of the window. And I'm using my hand because it's a frameless window. And you're going to go all the way around the entirety of the window. Last step in the install process is to apply our Clear-X solution over the top. So you just kind of spread this over the entire window. And once you've finished the entire window, give it about 15 to 20 seconds to dry. And then you'll just take a clean part of your cloth and just rub it off. You don't need to buff it. You're just removing the excess. After you completed the install, you want to make sure that the window goes back down that slight bit so you can close the door. So to do that, all you have to do is press the door handle and it goes down on its own. And we can shut the door. Now that we've completed the install, you need to allow the adhesive underneath the film to fully cure. So you want to avoid any hard driving for about 24 hours, and you don't want to wash your car for up to a week depending on the temperature that you're driving in.